Look, I'm unstoppable. Forget your defense, nothing but an obstacle. Run it back, switch it up, call it audible. Serving up them Hail Marys till the game over with the showstopper. So hot, you gotta blow on it. I said I'll huff and I'll puff, then I'll pass to my left while I'm looking to my right. Hit him right in the chest. It be looking like magic, better give me the throne. I ain't talking about Patrick, but I rep my home. I'm never at the end of my zone. I'm bad to the bone, eating up these pig skins like they chicharrones. And you a douche cabron. Mira, mira at the mirror on the wall. I'm the greatest of them all. They gon' put me in the hall. Your name is only written in a bathroom stall. Quit your stalling and make a play. My drive too long, pop the clutch, I don't pump the brakes. I know what it takes to gain the muscle, get rugged. These butterfingers be fumbling, squash the scrimmage and rub it in Robitussin. How I give them concussion, they seeing double, they rushing and pass the shovel, the dirt and rubble, I bury them under it. Stay in your huddle and get 10 yards back, never turn your back. I'ma pull your flag, I go full contact, out punch, out kick like a shotgun blast on 1 out snap. It's a fact that I'm unstoppable. Forget your defense, nothing but an obstacle. Run it back, switch it up, calling audible. Serving up them Hail Marys to the...
Yo, what's going on? What up? What up? It is the Horseshoe Mob podcast. We've got no Josh this week as he's out sick. I hope he feels better. But we've got an NCAA tournament and we got more Colts news. So let's get right to it before we get started here. Go ahead and introduce the boys. We've got, of course, Ryan Deaver. What's up, man? How you doing?
It's Van Deaver. My gosh, how long is it going to take you?
Ryan Van Deaver. My bad. Listen.
Oh my gosh, man. Yeah.
I read it. I was like, you know what? We're gonna skip Van. We're gonna skip and I disrespected it, so I apologize. Ryan Van Deaver, everyone. And of course, we got the silent assassin himself, Austin.
What's up? I'm Austin.
He is still Austin as before we get started, just real quick. Are either of you guys going to be watching the South San Diego State UNC game? And tell me why UNC did not deserve it.
I mean, one stat for UNC. 1-12 against quadrant 1 opponents, who are the type of opponents that you're going to be playing in the dance. So that's the big thing for me. I mean, West Virginia, they absolutely got screwed when it came to that. West Virginia, Boise State. I mean, you could even throw Dayton into the mix if you really wanted to. They got screwed. But the darling, I really hope it's the darling UC San Diego. It's a great story. The men's and women's basketball team, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they obviously didn't deserve to be there. I don't know why they're there besides their name. I don't know if I'll watch the game or not, but yeah, I agree. They shouldn't be there.
I think the game's on right now, actually.
Early on, they are up 16-11 over seniors. So we'll keep an eye on that, aka you will keep an eye on that and let us know because we will be busy talking about that. So let's get back to it. Of course, as always, sorry, before we do all the fun stuff with pay the bills, fanbattlesports.com, where you can get from the AFC South, including, of course, the Jaguars, the Texans, the Titans, who have no idea what they're doing, and us, the Colts. Get the latest episodes, interact with our articles, and if you're interested in starting your own podcast, hit us up. Click on the contact us link, fill out all the information, fanbattlesports.com. Of course, follow us on Twitter at Horseshoe Mob Podcast, and also on TikTok at Horseshoe Mob Podcast. So, and of course, here on YouTube, like the show, click subscribe, comment in the section down below. Support the show. We really appreciate it. Horseshoe Mob Podcast. All right, guys, let's get into it. This episode we're going to talk about, is this a missed opportunity or not? And, you know, Colts came out, actually made moves the first 3 days last week. So last week was really, really exciting. Had a great episode. We talked about Ken Bynum. We talked about Adding some guys there in the secondary that we really need. But since then, it's been we a couple moves here and there, but there's been an opportunity, a lingering opportunity out there on a position of need for the Indianapolis Colts, and the name that they've been linked to, mostly because of Lou Anarumo, and mostly because of the position that he's available at. Are you ready to say that the Colts missed out on an opportunity to trade for Trey Hendrickson? Do you think it's still out there? Do you think that ship has sailed? What are your thoughts on this particular? We'll go Thompson.
Uh, I don't think we can call it a missed opportunity yet. Until he re-signs or extends with the Bengals or is traded elsewhere, it's still a possibility. We saw, I think Jeremy Fowler said the Colts still want Trey Hendrickson, which was kind of surprising to hear. Like hear that, even though we all heard that we might be in on it. But I just don't think it's a missed opportunity. I don't think it's a very great chance of happening, but it's not impossible.
Ryan, what you think?
I mean, I look at it as you have this 30-year-old pass rusher who is obviously in his prime, but how much longer is he going to be in his prime? Would you rather trade away a lot of assets in order to get him on the team, reunite with Anarumo and then his defensive line coach, who is his coach, I believe, at Florida Atlantic? That would be a great story, but the,
Yeah.
the problem is, do you want to handcuff yourself for a couple of years in order to get one asset, and not to mention you have to pay him $30 million per year on top of all of that. So I don't think that it's that we missed out on trading for Trey Hendrickson. It may eventually still happen, but I just I don't know. I just think it would handcuff us too much, and we got a draft coming up where we actually have to get some good talent on this team: linebackers, offensive line, tight end, and I wouldn't want to give away any of those assets.
To this day, we have no right guard. We have zero right guards. So yeah, no, I think I'm there with you. I don't think it's about a missed opportunity. I think if you would have looked at it before, the other signings this team made, then, like if the signings of Bynum and Ward don't happen, right, and we're still sitting here saying, hey, you know, is this a missed opportunity? I think that narrative is a little bit different. But I think you do, because you do get a Bynum and a Ward, and because you do, address other needs. It's not like it's a completely lost cause, right? And so I think from that perspective, you look at it and you're like, man, we didn't do anything, but in reality, we kind of fixed the back end of the problem. And this is where it's like, do you bring in a second tier guy? Do you go draft the top guy? Like I think you've actually opened it up for more options versus missed out on the opportunity, because now you've left it wide open because there's other needs you don't need to grab. If you can go back to back with first and second round, not saying this is what they do, and then address the defensive line with sheer amount of talent, right? Better than you've got out there right now. So I wouldn't say they missed out on an opportunity. I'd probably say this is more of like they vetted the opportunity, and at this point, they probably, in my opinion, I feel like they've made a conscious decision to not take it, because of what else is happening. So we'll continue to monitor the situation. I can't remember. There's a news report that came out this morning that says that the Colts are actually still interested in trading. The Bengals obviously spent a lot of money this week re-signing Higgins, giving Jamar Chase his extension. So they're going to have to do something with Hendrickson because they can't afford it. So anything short of releasing him, if they have to end up releasing him, that's really going to hurt them. And it's not gonna bode well for them. So if their asking price continues to come down, then maybe there's an opportunity there. I wouldn't call it an opportunity missed. I think this is actually one of those times where Chris Ballard waits, and it might work out. So we'll see what happens. Of course, to our regulars here, Sean, what's up, man? Teresa, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. Always. Colts added Khalil Herbert and Neville Gallimore. Obviously, what looks to be a backup defensive tackle who should be better than what we got last year at this position, and a backup running back who can catch the ball. I think was probably a bigger deal. Ryan, tell me about these two guys and how do you think they benefit the Colts?
I mean, adding Neville Gallimore is basically you're just replacing the defensive tackle depth, and you know, he's going to be replacing Raekwon Davis as the rotational defensive tackle behind Buckner and Grover Stewart. He comes from the Rams. It's a 1-year deal. 6'2", 315. So he is a big guy. He finished the season with just 19 tackles and 1 quarterback hit on 264 snaps. But when it mattered, the playoffs, he was actually a monster. 2.5 sacks and a safety and 45 snaps. So I think it's a good play for depth. But he's not going to be a guy that's going to be a game wrecker per se. But it's good to be adding more depth behind Buckner. And when it comes to Herbert, I think that's a pretty good get because we struggled a bit this season when it came to our running backs. Jonathan Taylor is Jonathan Taylor, but other than that, we didn't have any depth there either. And so all off season long, we've been talking about who are the Colts going to draft at the running back position, but we're not really talking about who they're going to get for, in free agency. And they end up getting Khalil Herbert. And I think it's a pretty good get. I think he's still got plenty left in the tank, and, he's not Jonathan Taylor by any means, but he's going to add to the offense.
Yeah, absolutely. Some good points there. Austin, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. These are both obviously depth signings. We needed running back help, and Herbert's a solid choice, like Ryan just said. I think he's better than Trey Sermon and Tyler Goodson was last year. So I think we have an upgraded uh, backup running back. Sorry. And then with Gallimore, he just has to play decent, and he'll be an upgrade from Raekwon Davis because I don't think Raekwon Davis did anything for us last season. So I think both of these signings are good depth pieces.
Yeah, for sure. Listen, when it comes to a guy, especially, I think Neville Gallimore is a great pick. Right? You're talking about a guy, even like with the 260 snaps, is about what he might play for the Colts. And if he can produce and just come in and be, that hole plugger, while when Buck and when Grover need a rest, that's all you really need. You just need 1 or 2 more guys every now and then to take the weight off. And Khalil Herbert addresses a need that this team doesn't have. And as great as Jonathan Taylor is, as great as he is as a runner, he's not really a great receiver of the ball. And that's something that this team desperately needs. Khalil Herbert last year. Not saying he's a world beater by any means, but he had 28 catches, 30 catches last year, which in a system like this can be very, very valuable, right? So it's all about when you team build, it's about finding those discrepancies within the team that are weaknesses, and finding ways to make them strong. And I think both of these guys do that. this is what real depth. This is. It's not like the. It's not like the other things where it's like, oh, we believe in this 8th round pick guy who's a depth guy. He's going to come in and be an instant impact. That's not what this is, and nor should it have ever been. Right? But it adds to some discrepancies that you guys have that we have on this team. And when you team build, these are the types of things that you're looking for. So, real quick, Teresa's asking where Josh is. Josh is in the chat, but he is sick. Speaking of the devil, what's up, Josh? How you doing, man? Hope you're feeling better. Hope you're feeling better. I hope that's not what you look like when Alabama wins in the first round on Thursday, because that would be really sad. But and then ICT Sports, what's good, big dogs? What's going on, ICT? We appreciate jumping in there. But yeah, I think these are two really, really good signings at positions that, again, you don't now you're continuing to open up and make a much clearer picture on maybe what you might. Going back to Cam Bynum. Cam Bynum had his introductory press conference. Was that yesterday or today? You guys remember?
It wasn't today. It was,
It must have been. It must have been
or
yesterday.
it might have been today. I don't know.
Regardless, of course, former Colts cornerback Stephon Gilmore signed off on coming to Indy. On Cam Bynum coming to Indy. Cam Bynum, of course, the safety that signed with the Indianapolis Colts in day one. Probably the second big fish that we captured this year in free agency. What do you guys think when like other guys sign off on a guy that comes to your team? Like, there's obviously good and bad to that, but is there anything that you're like, man, Gilly knows his stuff. He played here. He's really good. Does that give you like an extra vote of confidence when it comes to like him backing a signing that occurs?
I think so. He was just here for 1 year, and it wasn't a great year, but he obviously saw something in the organization to say, "Hey, Cam, that's a good team. That's a good organization. If you want to go there, go there." I I think it's cool. Um, he respects the Colts organization. It seems like,
Yeah, and especially an organization that hasn't really done well, right? And they've started to
yeah,
build a reputation of mediocrity. Like, it's good to see. Hey, man, forget like the W's and L's, which I know that's an important thing, but at its core, this is still a really good organization. I think that's really important. What do you think, Ryan?
I mean, when Stephon Gilmore, probably one of the more respected cornerbacks in the game, when he still has respect for Colts deeply, even though he was with the season one year in 2022, which ended in disaster. But you have to think that a lot of Colts fans out there, they think this is a joke of a franchise, but this is a clear example that it really isn't. There's just a certain areas where which makes Colts fans irritated a bit. But when Stephon Gilmore came out and he said, the things he said, just basically signing off on Bynum coming to Indy, um, there's no reason why you should think that this isn't a franchise that can start climbing the ladder. All you have to do is just start bringing in guys that are high character, high volume guys, and Bynum is one of those guys.
My apologies as I drop a coffee mug on the floor. Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. I think it goes back to like this highly regarded, respectable guy across the league shows the rest of the league that our perception of what we think the Colts organization is still completely different from what insider like teams and players and coaches and other personnel think about um, uh, the Colts organization. we obviously there's groups of us that probably still respect the organization to some degree, but then there's groups of us that still have this perception of the organization that they're stuck in mediocrity. They only care. They don't really care about winning. And I'm one of those. They don't. They you know, Jim Irsay is just riding the sailboat at this point, and at some point he'll dock it and hand it off. Like, but there's still guys in the league that still hold this organization to a very high standard. And I think it's a great look when a guy like Stephon Gilmore, who again was here during a tumultuous, what we would call a tumultuous season, just, you know, a circus is what we used to call it on the show, right? Stephon Gilmore, like, nah, man, like, that's a good place to go. And I think that says a lot about the organization as a whole. And Jim Irsay might even say a lot more about Chris Ballard than what our perception of Chris Ballard is if a guy like Gilly is still willing to say, like, no, man, like, that's a good place. You should go there. Your talents will fit like that. I think that goes a long way. So this brings an interesting tussle to the forefront of, like, what is our perception of the organization? What is the perception of guys that are inside of these organizations, and how do they differ? So I think it's very, very interesting. Any final thoughts on Gilly here? And as we get those final thoughts, Stacy wants to say hello. Hello, Stacy. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining us. Mooney bringing the attitude, and I guess Mooney is referred to as is that Bynum or is that Ward?
It's Ward.
This one's Ward. Charverius Ward. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently now named Mooney, which I learned that too, like 5 minutes ago. Is already bringing the attitude we need in the cornerback room. It sounds like he's had this again, just this leadership or maybe accountability. What Austin, what can you tell me about this one?
Yeah, he's just been confident in every interview he's been in. Uh and he said something about he thought he was going to go to the Saints, and
Yeah.
then Chris Ballard, I guess, wanted him, and he said he felt wanted, so he came, and now he's saying he's a great player. And the confidence he has, I think, is gonna spew into the locker room, hopefully, and, like, make people better, and I think that's what he's trying to do with his confidence, is, like, be that leader and help the team be better. Uh, but yeah, it's definitely something I think we've missed, uh, in the locker room, and, hopefully it does help us.
What you got, Ryan?
I mean, when you look back at the press conference, it's a lot of people were saying that it's cockiness. I don't think it's cockiness. It's 100% confidence, and it's a confidence that the Colts need in their organization. Okay, he needs to be in that locker room. It's not just a great signing for the type of cornerback that he is, one of the top cornerbacks in the NFL. It's a signing that is going to hopefully bring the team together and they'll start playing with confidence as well, because that is something that the Colts missed last year. And Pat McAfee, for all he is, he pointed it out. It's not a great organization. It wasn't a great organization. Well, you have to have players like this in your locker room when things are going great, when things are going bad, or if it's all average, because these are the type of players that have a mindset of bringing a winning organization, turning it into that. And so I think bringing in Moody with the attitude that he has, thinking that he is the number one wide receiver in the NFL, having that type of attitude, I love it.
Yeah, you listen. When you play football in general, when you're in the NFL, you have to be confident. Like, that's literally, the magnitude of the sport, the difficulty of that, the technique it requires, the physical nature of this sport, you have to have a semi-alpha mentality, right? And 80 to 90%, 95% of the guys that are successful in this league are alphas. Like they obviously do it in their own different ways, whether that's a leadership alpha, a physical alpha, a mentorship alpha, whatever the case might be. Like there is alpha in all of these guys, and a guy that's willing to come in and be like, look, I know that this position is struggling, but I got you. We're going to fix this. And you're gonna fix it on the backbone of me. Like I think that's awesome. Like I can't remember if Ryan or Austin said it earlier, but the Colts haven't had this type of guy in a long time. Vontae Davis, would you say like that's the last good corner that we've had?
Probably.
Also has exuded this type of confidence. Does that seem accurate that it'd be Vontae Davis that falls into that line?
I'd say that's pretty accurate. He was the last dominant secondary guy that we had. Yeah, when we traded for him from Miami, yeah.
Yeah. I wish you could say Gilmore technically too, right? But he basically also went on to say that he's in a specific headspace that just gives him confidence, and he's really excited to also build with Cameron Bynum, which is something he also mentioned once, right? He said last year that physically he was on the field, but mentally he was behind. Because of everything that was going on personally. You got it. It almost felt like PTSD. And physically, the situation in San Francisco is inducing PTSD. A mix of life drama and playing for a team that went from Super Bowl heights to one of the biggest disappointments in the league last season. So, again, these types of things take a toll on these guys. Football's not an easy sport. From July to basically January, these guys are grinding, and they're only with their families a handful of time during this time that they're playing. They don't, and then they experience real life things that you and I may experience, and we think not to be like not caring of people, but we take a couple of days off work, we figure out what we need to figure out, we go back. These guys, they don't get that. They have to deal with the passing of the family, and then go back to work the next day or the same day. Like, how many times have you heard of athletes just like, yeah, I lost my mom yesterday, but I had a game and that was really important for our team, and they played really well. I had to come out and I had to do this for my mom or my sister or whatever the case might be. A family member that was really close to them, and they had to come in, and they're expected to still perform at a high level. So the mental toll that these guys have to go to each and every day is jolting sometimes. And so he just wants to show that he's one of the best corners in the game. He was an All-Pro 2 years ago. Ferris Forrest, it sounds like he's coming in great feet, and that's good for the cornerback. We haven't had a corner that's been great for a while. So, and I think we're all hungry for that to happen. Ward's confidence is extremely high, and he's ready to compete with any wide receiver in the South and whoever's on the schedule. We need that dog in the secondary. Now we have three. Yeah, you put Ward, you put we talked about him earlier. You put Cam Bynum out there, like, and then you got guys like a Jalen Jones. This is where a guy like Jalen Jones now, he's gonna be even better. Right? You got Kenny Moore. And now you look at Jalen Jones like, hey, Jalen, I just need you to be really, really good on third downs every couple of times, or first down. I don't have to rely on a Jalen Jones to be that, because I've got three others that can do that. And that's what this team has been missing. That's what depth is, right? Where a guy like Jalen Jones can come in. So I'm very, very excited to see how this cornerback room comes together. The secondary as a whole comes together. and we'll continue to see what happens. Let's see. Do you guys know? Did Charvarius Ward? Did he win one of the Super Bowls with the Chiefs? The
He
first
did.
one, right?
Yeah. When they played the 49ers, I believe.
Yeah, he wins that first one, and then he goes to San Fran, correct? So he wins the first one of the back to back. So that was technically 3 years ago now. Right? Yeah, and he brings the championship pedigree. He's the guy
Yep.
that knows what it takes to get it done. And we don't. This team does not have that. Obviously, before it's fucking, but he's a little bit older. But at this stage, don't have a lot of that. Very excited. All right, guys. A couple more topics, and we'll get out of here. We are breezing through the night, which is awesome. But Colts fans owe Chris Ballard
I'll let you start with this one, Austin, because this is going to be a little abrasive for me.
This is good. Right? Chris Ballard now going into his 10th season. That's right, 10th season as the Colts GM. Numerous draft picks, numerous failed drafts, numerous opportunities to get quarterbacks. Really good drafts. 9 years of not doing anything in free agency. He finally pulls the trigger on some guys and gets some guys. Now we have to look back and we have to say, does Colts Nation owe this guy who didn't do his job for 9 years? Awesome, go for it.
To simply put it, no. Nobody should say sorry for anything they said about Chris Ballard. We should appreciate that he's finally doing what he should have been doing the whole time, but we shouldn't feel sorry for anything that we said or that anybody said about him because, like you said, he wasn't doing what he was supposed to be doing when he got hired. He wasn't building a team that was built to succeed. He was not really putting a team together, like we've said several times the past couple of years. So he's doing a good job this offseason, but he has to keep going, and he doesn't deserve any apologies.
Go for it, Ryan. I'll let you take the second.
So a couple of months of work for 9 years, and he deserves an apology. Excuse me. No, he does not deserve an apology. He's doing the job now, which is what he should have been doing in year one when he was hired. He hasn't done anything in free agency. When he goes to draft any position outside of linebacker or defensive line, unless it's a home run hit like Quentin Nelson on the offensive line or Braden Smith, and then you have Will Fries, who is no longer with the organization. You have Will Fries, who wasn't even expected to turn into anything, but now we're supposed to give him an apology for doing his job, what he should have been doing day one. Absolutely not. He doesn't deserve an apology. How about you wake up, you go to work, you get hit the grinding stone, do your job, turn around the Colts, who have what two playoff appearances in the past decade. Like, do your job. And no, I have to believe the only reason he's acting this way is because his job is on the line. That is the only purpose. If he wasn't on the hot seat, I don't think he would have made any of these moves.
Chris Ballard is very, very good at telling you what he does and why he does it. For those of us that know, have been obviously we all watch the Colts religiously, and we're the hyper known fan, if you will, right? We keep in touch with the Colts. We watch all the press conferences. We listen to all the cockamamie stuff that they put out there. We do all the shebangs. We listen to Pat McAfee rant for 86 hours about nothing. We love the Colts, and so we're the hyper informed, right? Chris Ballard, on multiple occasions. And I think it came up earlier today in a conversation I was having with Colts fans around like Chris Ballard and the things that he does. Like he tells you what he's going to do. Remember early on in his tenure, he used to tell us that he wasn't going to do anything in free agency. And we used to be like, "Ooh, did you see like this really like subliminal message that Chris Ballard said like he's going to change his ways?" And then we like wait for 3 days and we get really pissed off. Nothing happens. Like we don't do that anymore because then you get scenarios where it's like, you know, the whole thing about need. Remember the year we needed a wide receiver or secondary, and he was at training camp and he was just like, "Yeah, guys, we really like our guys. Like we're gonna see what happens here." And like the entire like wide receiver core got hurt, and we were kind of left in the dust. Or even after you traded, you drafted Anthony Richardson. He came out and he was like, "Yeah, we've liked Anthony Richardson for 2 years." I'm like, dude, I don't even remember hearing about Anthony Richardson until like 6 weeks ago. So what are you talking about? So, no, I'm not apologizing to this guy for doing his job. Like it took you 9 years to get this far. Like 9 years, and I finally feel like you're building a team. And and that still it hasn't yielded any results. Like this is just you making a move. We don't even know if these moves are gonna work. Like on paper they sound great. Like you go get a defensive coordinator that's a little bit more aggressive. You go match that defensive corner's aggressiveness with two guys in the secondary that are very, very aggressive in the secondary. Ball hots. You play coverage. You play offside. You play inside. You play a multitude of positions inside. If you're making the right moves, at the end of the day, we still don't know what Anthony Richardson is. We don't know what his progress and his working with Josh Allen's, off-season coach. We don't know what results that's going to yield. There's still a lot of unknown, even within the fact that you finally decided to do your job. And so, yeah, no, I don't. No, if anything, I'd still tell Colts fans to be cautiously pessimistic because you don't know what's going to happen because it took them so long to just get this far. And Josh comes in and says if they do some sufficient, should it be extended? Yeah, that's a good question. What? ICT says, "Can you fix your mic?" Are you guys having trouble hearing me
Yeah, you're in and out.
this whole time? This is why nobody watches. It's still bad.
Definitely can't hear you now.
You can't hear me at all,
I can hear you now.
dude. My mic volume is all the way up. Okay. Well, hey, sorry, Ryan, can you kind of take over here real quick and answer Josh's question while I figure this out?
I don't think. I mean, should he be extended if he does a good job? At the end of the day, this is the roster that he's put together. It should go off of his 9-year track record. So at the end of next season, if they are another 7-win team or 8 or 9-win team, is Jim Irsay going to be good with that? Well, from what I hear, Jim Irsay and Chris Ballard are buddies. So your guess is as good as mine. But as a fan, do I think that he should stick around no matter what he does? No, because there's a track record. And let's just say, for example, because Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard are both tied to Anthony Richardson. Let's say, hypothetically, Anthony Richardson has another down year. They are both tied to him. Chris Ballard drafted him. Shane Steichen wanted him. So do we fire both of them at the end of this season if he stinks it up once again? And let's say Daniel Jones stinks it up as well because he's got a track record there. So are both of them fired at the end of the season? But to answer Josh's question, Should he be extended if they have a sufficient season? No. There's a track record there, and it's a very long track record.
Yeah, I agree. Though I think the only way that we should give Chris Ballard an extension is if we win the Super Bowl, and like that's like probably not gonna happen.
No.
So like, yeah, he's done too little to deserve an extension. Everything you said, it just wouldn't make sense at all to bring him back after his contract is up. And like you said, if we have another down year this year, it wouldn't make sense to even bring him back past that.
Is this better? Can you guys hear me now?
Hey, there you go.
Yep.
This is better. Okay, I think it's just the angle that I use my mic in. So
Bro.
yeah, no, I think it depends on what you want to call like significant or sufficient. Like Ryan mentioned it earlier, the track record is barely above 500, and then a couple of years where he made the playoffs. Right, he hasn't made his record as a GM is like 60. Is it 62 and 69? Yeah, 62 and 69. He hasn't made the playoffs since 2020. That was 5 years ago at this point, which is a long time. To me, unless he like makes the AFC Championship game or like the divisional game, I don't think he should be brought back regardless of what this does. Like, regardless of what happens this season, unless it's like you win the division, you win a playoff game, that should be bare minimum, right? That is bare minimum to even consider that you should be extended. And if you do get extended, it should be on a year. It should be on a year by year basis. It should be like, hey, you get one more year to see if you can do it again. It's like it wouldn't be any different than what you would do with the player, right? That's been injured, right? And then all of a sudden, you know, you play healthy for a year and you think you deserve this extension. No, man, like you're on a year by year basis. You're gonna have to prove to me that you can maintain consistency. It's like me at a job. If I was struggling and I was struggling with performance, all of a sudden I'm good for a month. That doesn't excuse the last 6 months of bad performance. Like I still have to show that I can maintain some consistency. And extending him without that would go back to how poor accountability is. There's no accountability in this organization right now, and this would be a great example of that.
Oh, a big thing about Ballard is he's like a GM is like a salesman when it comes to free agency. You have to be able to close the deal. And last season, last year's free agency, we saw with Danielle Hunter, he couldn't close the deal. You know, he wanted to go home. I get it. And we ended up paying, the contract was going to be more. But you still have to find a way to close the deal. And if this is the track record for Chris Ballard when it comes to free agency, how many offers has he given to players that have rejected the deal? That would be my question, because if you aren't closing the deal as the biggest salesman in the building, like that's a bigger question at hand.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think now you have to think about like how many times did he swing in? Because remember, he again, one of his famous quotes is "It takes two to tango," right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So how many times have we not been tangoing enough, right? How many times we're like, the free agents have been willing to dance, and then we're just like step off the dance floor.
Right.
My guess is that it's more oftentimes than not. And so again, we're getting all these signings now. Now all of a sudden it shouldn't ask so many more questions, but now I have even more questions. Why haven't you been able to close the deal like this the last 9 years? And what do you? Yeah. So no, I don't think. I think the bare minimum to get a 1 year extension is winning the division and winning one playoff game.
But they've been on the cusp of winning the division or having
I don't want
opportunities to
cusp.
win that division,
Yeah.
the past 2 seasons. And they always, excuse my French, but they always crap the bed, when it comes to playing the Texans. And the Texans, they are their crux. They just can't find a way to beat them and then take the lead in the division and then close it out. And don't even get me started with the Jaguars. That's a different story for a different day.
Get internet. I'm back. My internet sucks. So it's either my mic or my internet. So that's awesome. Yeah, you I heard you say you crapping the bay, and so you kind of teed off my internet and then kind of joined suit there.
Oh my gosh. Josh. That is foul.
Josh, I thought you were sick.
Yeah.
Because right now you're becoming sickly annoying. And I don't like it. No, he probably trade my mic stand. I mean, I'll trade my mic stand. But no, I mean, yeah, I think bare minimum to even consider a 1-year extension, Chris Ballard needs to win the division and win a playoff game. Like that's the bare minimum expectation for me this season. And yeah, it might sound like a very quote unquote high expectation, but this is year 10, buddy. Like if your expectation at this point isn't winning the division, then get out of here. Like I don't care. Then clearly you have low expectations for yourself, and that's bringing down the organization. So, sick. I'll be back next week. We will see you here, buddy. We will be right here when you are back. We hope you feel better. I was just joking. I didn't mean to make fun of your sickness. I apologize. Alrighty, fellas. The last thing of the night, and then we'll get out of here. At this point, looking at it today, and we can make this a quick question. We can make this a conversation. It doesn't matter. At this point, what is your biggest need in the draft at this point?
I mean, it's basically a 1 and a 1A. Tight end and linebacker. And we obviously need to address that right guard position because there is a glaring hole there. And it's one of those things like we expect Anthony Richardson to play great. Like, he's doing all this work in the offseason. And you have to wonder what he's thinking. Like, well, okay, you expect me to do great, but hey, you just throw the entire offensive line out into free agency pretty much. But yeah, they're going to have to address that right guard position. It really is going to depend big time in the draft in that first round, sitting at 14. I have an interesting question. Would you rather trade up to get Tyler Warren, or would you trade back to get an additional 6th round pick to be able to address another need like right guard or linebacker?
I think I would rather trade back in this draft than trade up, personally.
I think what you need to do, I think Chris Ballard really just needs to play the board, right? This is really and I don't really say there's so many options that you have the flexibility to wait and see what happens when you get to your pick. And then you can either A, make the pick, B, trade down and get more picks and still make a pick. There's just a lot of options, and if there's, I think you nailed it on the needs. I think the needs still stay the same at 1A and 1B. You need an edge rusher, you need a linebacker, and you need a specific skill set type of linebacker, right?
Yes,
it's not just
yes.
any linebacker. You need a versatile linebacker that can cover. that's
Yeah,
what that's probably, man, imagine if Shaq Leonard was healthy right now.
Man.
Like, he would be perfect in this. Like, that's the kind of linebacker that you need in this system.
Oh, the locker room wouldn't be the way they were last season
Sure.
if Shaq Leonard would have been in there,
Yeah, maybe. Well, if healthy Shaq Leonard was in there, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't think we get like injured Shaq Leonard that's been in and out in the locker room, being a guy that's motivational in that locker room. I think the injury, like, at the end of the day, Shaq Leonard's like trajectory kind of followed Andrew Luck's trajectory, where he just kept getting hurt and hurt and hurt. He just got sick of it. And I think that kind of, again, the mental aspect of that played into everything else that he did. And so, yeah, I mean, Shaq Leonard in this specific instance would have been perfect. But unfortunately, we don't have that. But that's the type of guy that you need at that middle linebacker position.
Yeah, I like Campbell. Like we've mentioned him before.
For sure.
Like he would. I don't know if he would come in and be as impactful as Leonard was, but I think he has the abilities and the ceiling to get there.
Yeah. I mean, I also like your guy, Austin. The more and more I think about this, the more and more I really like James Pierce.
I wouldn't hate it.
Or if you get into the second round, Shamar Stewart would be awesome in this role. I think if you get to do a Shamar Stewart, though, I think that's in what I could get Stewart at 20 or 21 and still rack up a second round or a third round pick. I would take that. Like, again, you need to. This team needs talent, and so I think you provided yourself some opportunity to play the board, and just kind of see what happens. You kind of go from there, and then we either trade down or we make a pick, and there's just lots of options out there right now, and we'll continue to explore those options over the next 6 weeks, as we begin our draft coverage.
I mean,
probably next week.
I mean, the more and more I look at Jihad Campbell, I'm really just, like I said, 1A and 1B, where Tyler Warren and Jihad Campbell. Jihad Campbell, he has elite athleticism on the field. Like,
yeah, he does.
If you continue to watch him, you will see that. And, with the signing of Charvarius Ward, Cameron Bynum, the biggest hole remaining on defense is linebacker, especially with, EJ Speed, free agent. So Landon Campbell would be the final piece to the Colts having been assembling all offseason. Plus, it would give Lou Anarumo a really nice chess piece to use during his first season in Indianapolis. I'm starting to fall in love with Jihad Campbell. His elite athleticism would be great to have for the Colts. But on the other end, you have Tyler Warren. So if both of them are still sitting right there, oh my gosh.
Yeah, a tough decision, right? Like if you have both of those guys, but and by the way, ICT, we hope Josh is back too. But come on, man, I just had a little mic malfunction. You didn't have to throw me under the bus like that, all right? Jeez, bro. I'm sorry.
It's Tuesday. It's all right.
Anyway, yeah, no, I think you're right there. It's like Jihad Campbell's ability to move sideline to sideline, his speed at his size is insane. That's what this is all about. Like, that's what you need. And that's kind of what this defense is missing. It's the final piece to your point, but especially when you've got guys like Grove and Defoe that are past, getting to the end of their careers, you need linebackers that can tackle, and you've got to be able to go back and give them somebody that can help them out. That's not, taking what they do up front to waste. But hey, we'll see what happens. Josh will be back next week because ICT hates that I'm on the mic. And
This
so
is
I'll shut up
hilarious.
next week.
This is a great exchange
But
between him and Josh.
yeah, Josh, I appreciate you backing me up. ICT, listen, man, your boy will be back next week. That's okay. I promise he'll be back. But you guys got anything else tonight?
I don't think so. I think nailed it. Tight end and linebacker. Those are the main needs.
Awesome. Ryan, any final thoughts?
I mean, I will say there was a good couple of days when it came to Chris Ballard, but I still think there needed to be a couple extra signings. He could have helped himself signing a tight end, even if it's not the greatest tight end, or even attempting to go after Goddard from the Eagles. But it doesn't look like that was even a possibility from all the reports that I saw. It's just, even if you bring in, let's say you bring in Colson Loveland and Tyler Warren's taken, right? So say you trade back and then take Colson Loveland. But the problem there is there's not a lot of experience when it comes to the tight end room, because either you're good at blocking or you're good at catching, but you're not good at both. And Tyler Warren is good at both. And Colson Loveland, I think he was given a favor by not having a good throwing quarterback this past season at Michigan, and because he was able to show how good of a run blocker he was as well. So I don't know. I would have preferred that, since his job's on the line, he would have added a tight end into the room, because there were multiple tight end targets, that were out there, but he didn't pull the trigger on any of them. So I don't know.
I will come out and say, and you guys might not like this or agree or disagree with this. Please, Chris Ballard, please, whatever you do not draft Colson Loveland at 14. Dear God, please don't do that.
Yeah,
That would
don't want him
be.
at 14.
Hold on, let me check something real quick. What
They
was
wouldn't
Colson
draft him.
Loveland? What was Colson Loveland's raw score?
They wouldn't draft him at 14. They would trade back.
Listen, I don't know anymore. Like, as many misses as Chris Ballard has had in drafts over the last 5 years, I wouldn't. Nothing shocks me anymore. He's fell in love with this stupid raw score. That's like the first thing I check. I was like, oh, dude, I don't want that guy. What's his raw score? And Colson Loveland.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
Oh, good. Thank God. It was like, what, 6.7? Is that what? Oh, good. He's a terrible athlete. Chris Ballard probably won't even sniff him, to be honest. At 6.7. That's good news. Okay, well, hey, no big deal. So we'll start our draft series over the next few weeks, leading up into the NFL draft. We'll probably focus in on position, like the top 4 position needs over the next 4 weeks, and talk about a different amount of prospects. I don't know. I'm telling the host what he should be doing. But that's just throwing ideas out there. ICT, I definitely get you joking. I appreciate it. I'm all about jokes here. So all in good love. We're all Colts fans. We all love this stuff. But here, so before we do, Austin, where can people find you?
Hey, you can find me on Twitter at CookieAustin2.
And Ryan, where can the people find you, sir?
Oh man, we are absolutely everywhere. YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, X. Yeah, we're everywhere. We had a podcast drop today. We had a special guest. He's a sports writer for the Wichita State Shockers, who are actually playing right now in the NIT.
Oh, cool.
It's a really great episode. Go ahead and check it out. But yeah, we're everywhere. But go ahead and
Awesome.
follow me at HZS Ryan Van Deaver on X, because that is where we're going to be posting a lot more of our opinions on just about everything. And with March Madness rolling around, it's going to get pretty wild.
And they can find that episode with Wichita State already on your Twitter or on your YouTube.
Oh yeah, it's on YouTube.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Awesome. Y'all go follow Ryan Van Deaver here, our guy. And you can find me at the Uncle Gandhi. Also find me Thursday nights with my boy Tim Wayne, talking all things Texas Longhorns, laughing at all things Aggies because they are little bro, and having a good time doing it. So that's it for us tonight. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.
On one out snap, it's a fact that I'm unstoppable. Forget your defense, nothing but an obstacle. Run it back, switch it up, calling out the